Because because like for example, even in my school, well, it's kind of to me it's kind of BS in a way. But like for example, like all it's just funny because I hate to say it, but like, they put all the black Greeks. We had like one room, like we had one little area in that area. Like, oh, and I knew you was gonna laugh, and I knew as soon as I said it.
Wait a minute, because it's not fair to ask the necessary questions.
I know what you go ahead. Go ahead, ask it.
Did the white fraternity?
Oh, you know, all of them had houses on campus. Like it was, I never forget. It was community park.
Wait.
No.
I want to understand it before you give me the details.
Yeah.
So they had houses.
Yeah.
And y'all shared a room.
Well, I mean, we had like. Yeah.
But you asked me if we had houses.
You know, I honestly no for real. I'm not trying to be funny. Like, I'm not really trying to like one up y'all.
No, you can't.
Yeah, I can't at all. But like, I was serious about. I really thought like y'all would have houses for all the Greeks because y'all were HBCU. Not trying to be funny, but like for them, we had this like one little. I hate that shit. We had this one room. We had this one room area for us, and like all the not me beyond all the white frat sororities, they had their own shit. Like I don't know their Greek letters. It's not my prerogative on their Greek letters. But I remember like it was community park, and then I guess you can call it. I can't remember what we called it in school because we didn't call it black folks. We called that shit Greek room because it wasn't for us, but. It was like they all the community park, and then behind it was all these like little houses that had like whatever their letters or those on it. And then they would pledge people openly. Like it was just out in the open. I'm talking about like you would go to the white fraternity sororities. I'm talking about. Like we would go to like the organization. Thank you.
We'll do
it. Like we would go to like I'd be in there eating. We used to call it West Side. And then like my junior year, they ended up being called it somewhere else. We went to Louisville, you know what I'm talking about. We called it West Side. You'd be in there eating, and I remember one time there was this white boy. This white boy was like lifted up in the air, and like I saw like some like tissue paper. I don't know what they were doing, but they were running outside, running around the corner, and I'm sitting here like, nah, if it was a group of black folks. You know damn well they would have snatched out. Like so I would say that stuff was different. I ain't mad. Like I said, they all had houses and we had our room area.
Ooh, Lord had to touch my soul.
Yeah. That's what I'm saying. So honestly, I was going to ask you that because I feel like, for example, like when we had events, it was funny, right? So it was the Red Barn. The Red Barn is where like any kind of like school sponsored or school event thing would be held there, right? So I never forget the Red Barn. You would always have like we would have our step shows and stuff in there. And it's kind of sitting here thinking about it. It's like damn for your school, that probably couldn't even fit all the black folks in that little Red Barn. Like that's your whole campus. So like we in a little Red Barn, it would be funny because you would have the white students that would be in there. They'd be like. For example, we all got our chants. What? No, you know what I'm saying? We all say our stuff. They're like, oh, there's that chanting that they're doing. And I'm like, bro, it's not chanting. And it's like, before I even became Greek, I'll be like, bro, they're not chanting. You know, so like, I wasn't an alpha at that time, but I'll be like, bro, that's not just no chant. That's like meaning something to them. You know what I'm saying?
Weird.
So it's like, you have to deal with that. And a lot of times, like, we'd even have, like, for example, if we had, because like sometimes during, like they had like the I can't remember what it was. It was like usually the first week of school, and they had like all the like organizations out talking about their stuff. Like it sometimes would be funny because we'd be out there scrolling, you know what I'm saying, or we have little step shows out there and stuff like demonstrations. Just overall, it's recruiting. In the day, it's recruiting, right? So you do stuff out there, and you see like the white students. It's almost like, ooh, what are they doing? And it's like so many of them. And it's kind of like, I don't know, man. Sometimes I feel like he was kind of in a zoo a little bit. Because they'd be like, they're looking at you and they're like, oh, that's not what we do. That's a little bit different. You know what I'm saying? And then too, like on campus, we had, it was like every year it would be a sorority, and then we'll be specific, a black sorority and a black fraternity would get with one of the white ones and then teach them a step or teach them a stroll, right? And it's supposed to be like something like to show unity between the orgs, but sometimes it kind of felt like it felt like sometimes I don't know, man. It's just like, oh, it'd be like the black people, you know what I'm saying? Like, that's something I would felt. You know what I'm saying? So I definitely do think there was a difference. Because I do think those are kind of like little things I think Louisville was trying to, and the campus could be different now. Kind of we try to push for them to to do more stuff for us, but I do in that part of my experience, I do concede where I feel like those kind of things for you all probably did sometimes feel like, oh, we're isolated from everybody else. I feel like if y'all had I feel like if the Alphas had an event, it was campus wide. You know what I'm saying? It wasn't like just a group of people.
Yeah. It was, if Kappa Alpha Psi had an event, it was the whole campus, are you going to Gamma Chi's event? If it was Omega Psi Phi, it would be, are you going to Alpha Kappa's event?
And see, I bet you on campus, the feeling was different. I bet you like it was campus wide.
I mean, but our culture is different because the makeup, like it wasn't So what I do want you to understand, like it wasn't monolithic. Like HBCU life is not monolithic, and it ain't like it's like groupthink or this is herd mentality where one go we all go. Like people were different within our walk.
I mean, black people aren't monolithic.
But you were allowed, and it's kind of expected that you could be unapologetically black. Like it wasn't like we got company on the campus. Let's show out. Where's the cues? Somebody play a Tommy Dog. We need some entertainment. It wasn't never that. Did we do that? Absolutely. Did we do it often? Every chance we got. Like we let them cut loose. But it wasn't because we just felt that we needed to display that that action or behavior. It's just, no, this is their stage. This is why they pay to come to this institution. Let them be who they authentically are.
Yeah.
Like it wasn't like it wasn't no let me like it's open campus day. Let's show out to get parents to feel comfortable and let them know that their kid was going to have a true college experience. This is what we do every day. You feel me?
Like you probably didn't have no African American culture week or nothing like that. There's no point of y'all doing that. Like,
nigga, we just went to close school.
Right? You know what I'm saying? Like, I'm being real down to that.
Every week was African American week.
That is a different.
Yeah. So, when I hear that, and this is all from a cultural perspective. When I hear that, I'm amazed at what you had to do to feel accepted in your academic experiences for your culture. Like you was like, we're gonna allow these people in and live in their own microcosm within our structure. But at my school, that was just the culture. If you were an individual that who may be from a political standpoint conservative, if you were someone who may be even transgender or transsexual, like you were still black and you were submerged in that culture, and for the most part, you was accepted for being who you were. You feel me? Like it wasn't. We didn't have to gaslight that. You feel me? We didn't have to look over here. We got this too, nigga. Like it was just a part of the acceptance. Like we never had to beg to be accepted on our own campus.
Listen, not that I was a two-wonder like on every campus. Like I know a lot of times too. If you're not I don't want to say it sounds rude, so I'm trying to figure out how to say it. If you're not a black person that hangs out with other black people, you wouldn't know what events went on, right? Like if you were somebody like, let's say, for example, I'll use an athlete, for example. Like some black athletes don't know what's going on with the black Greeks. Like even though I play football and I play football and I'm an alpha, only reason I think I knew about black events a lot of times was because of my wife. Well, she's my girlfriend, but not my wife. But like that's the only reason I feel like I knew about stuff. I feel like as a black athlete, a lot of times you would go to school, you go to class, go to practice, watch film. I mean, shit, we had to be at the stadium at 2:30, and we didn't leave till about, on a good day, about 7. You know what I'm saying? So you've been there for that long. By the time you get out of there, you gotta write your papers, get your schoolwork done. You going to sleep.
So let me ask you this though: we go to school. We pay. This is the stupid shit in the world. We pay money to go to school so we can earn money to pay those people back. Do you feel like it was worth it? Were there opportunities like with going to a PWI that you think you would have been able to take advantage of going to HBCU?
That's a good question. The only thing for me that I would kind of wonder the opportunities I would have is being an athlete. There were some doors that opened up to me, right? Like I feel like playing football, and also too, I think my PWI was a D1 school, so I think that is another layer to it as well too. But I think there are some opportunities that I had that I wonder if I went to a PWI would I still have those, right? Like playing at Louisville, known school, on TV. I would go to I would like for example, I one time had a Louisville hoodie that that like for example, if you lived in Louisville, there were certain attire that you would see that you knew, oh, he had to play sports and he could get that, right? So that got me out of getting the speed ticket. Would I have that same pool going playing for HBCU in the city? I don't know.
But I mean, even just getting out of speeding ticket.
Well, I mean bigger things too. I'm talking about just in that city in general or in the state. I think because I did that, it opened up doors. I feel like I had more opportunities. Because I mean, be real, there was a multitude of people that I got to shake hands with and be around.
Really?
Right? So I do feel like sometimes with HBCU, there is a black pride I do feel like goes with it, but it does sometimes make me wonder because you were only around black people and the ugly truth of how the country that we live in is, we don't have the same resources that the people that's pigment have, right? So it does make me wonder, like, going to HBCU, would I be able to rub elbows with the same diverse group of people to give me a diverse set of opportunities so I can get into those doors, into those places, and maybe my influence into those less black places, I can change it from the inside, right? That's how I personally think about some things. So I do want that. So do I think I lost some opportunities? No. Do I think that some opportunities with my own people that I lose out on experiences? Yes. Like I definitely think being a Greek at HBCU brings more pride than it does at a PWI. I feel like
I think it's opportunity. So I think of when I graduated from Savannah State in 2012. And immediately after that, I was offered the opportunity to go work for the Democratic Party of Virginia, Organized for America, which was the grassroots campaign of Barack Obama. And then when I got there to my orientation, I was like listening to everybody introduce themselves, and it was people I just graduated from Harvard, or I'm taking a sabbatical year, but I felt like it was important. I just finished my bachelor's at MIT. Or it was individuals standing up and saying, "Hey, I'm looking to go to Stanford Law School in the fall, but I wanted to in the next fall, but I wanted to take the time to do it." And I realized, like, I'm in a room with all these people from these renowned universities that with all these resources at their footstool, and I am this black kid from Social Circle, Georgia, with a bachelor's degree from Savannah State University, and I'm sharing the same space, and I'm on the same mission with these individuals. When we started working at Market Source, it was individuals in there from Mississippi State and UGA and Georgia Tech and all these other universities, and here I am from Savannah State, and we're making the same salary or close to it. In some cases, I'm making more because of my commission. When I'm talking to people that I may meet and this, that, and the third, and we're discussing this, that, and the third, and then when we may go into deep conversations and stuff like that, and they're like, where did you go to school? And I tell them Savannah State. And I'm not saying that I'm a genius, but when we're talking, they're like, damn, you went to Savannah State? I'm like, yeah, motherfucker, I went to Savannah State. Yes, and I'm one of many. I'm not,
a couple of y'all was working there.
Right. But I'm just saying, it's been plenty of times where my Savannah State headed ass is in the midst of everybody else, and I never felt inadequate from an academic standpoint. I never felt like I didn't have anything of value.
No, I do feel like
from an academic standpoint.
I do feel like society makes us think that. Like I do want to make sure I say that.
Absolutely.
I do want to say this. I don't think it's HBCUs. I don't want to say fault or anything like that. I don't think it's their fault or their. I think society makes it look like HBCUs don't have the same.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. So, So even to being in the same places and being able to compete with individuals from other PWIs, and even more prominent PWIs, the more prominent ones, anyways. Like I've seen how, there's no significant difference. You feel me? Like in that, and when I think about the opportunities that I've been afforded, even there are more opportunities that I didn't take advantage of than I did, that I don't think that, people at PWIs even understand are available. Like, I've never heard a person from a PWI talk about the Thurgood Marshall Foundation. And I know people that have benefited significantly from that because they went to HBCU. I even my own personal story, I graduated with like a 2.8 from high school. There's no way in anyone's hell that I would have gotten to Louisville. And it wasn't because I wasn't smart enough, because I had other shit going on in my life where school wasn't important. But Savannah State gave me that opportunity to prove that I am worthy of the opportunity to get that education that I deserve. You feel me? And again, I think that the opportunities that HBCUs, they provide, especially for people of color, mainly for people of color.
Right.
Like when it comes to apples to apple compare and contrast standpoint, like there's no better feeling than being in HBCUs. Where I feel like HBCUs fall short is PWIs is resources. Mm-hmm. And that ain't our fucking fault. Yeah. You feel me? So no, that's true, yeah. The episode to me is important because I have a child and you have a child on the way. Again, congratulations. And we haven't started thinking about that.
But see, for me, realistically, I don't want to say I don't care what school my child goes to. I do care.
So they can go to school. They can go to ITT Tech or whatever that shit is. The one we'll be talking about.
Hey, look, man, whatever in their heart.
Are you gonna pay for it?
You're gonna pay? It's cheaper than them going to a 4-year degree than maybe they don't want a 4-year degree.
No, it's not.
To some school to be on TV.
Those are for-profit institutions, brother. That shit is expensive.
You know, like that little rundown we talking about it?
Man, I know niggas that went to go to school to become locksmiths and they hold them for like $50,000-$60,000. Yes, that shit's expensive.
Well, that's a lot more.
That's expensive. And this is why that conversation is important. At the end of the day, I really wanted Daddies to start talking shit about Louisville so I can talk shit about Savannah State, but he didn't bite down.
I literally told you how all the black Greeks in our little small ass room and all the white Greeks.
And I can't talk shit about y'all because I feel sorry.
Don't say that. That's even worse. It's worse.
It is.
But overall, I'm just saying for me though, honestly, when I say I don't care what school my kid goes to, I'm saying is I know some parents who they don't want their kids to go to HBCU because they think the idea of the sources and the resources and the opportunities they'll be given, they'll lose out on not going to PWI. And for me, I would say it's because I do feel like sometimes if you go to, I do feel like a PWI does, it's the ugly truth. PWI to me, I think, prepares you a little bit more for corporate America because when you go to a PWI, you sometimes have to, you got a code switch. Being real, like I don't have like you said, your financial aid person feel like family. You might not be like that. I might have this older white lady and she don't get my family struggle. So I gotta really, hey, Miss Such, I really need this loan. Can you really help me out? I need this. It's the same way I thought it worked sometimes. Like that's just the ugly truth of what I had going through a PWI. I think that prepares you for it. But I mean, it's the ugly truth. But what I was saying is like for me, I don't really care what. As long as my kid knows if they have a goal in life they want to do, I'm supporting whatever school they want to go to. They want an HBCU. All right, Daddy gonna get you to an HBCU. You want to go to a PWI? Are you sure you want to go to a PWI? All right, then we'll go to a PWI. But also too, I say this: if my son wants to be an athlete, I might not push him to go to HBCU, depending on what sport he plays. If he's playing like football, for example, if my son's playing football, there's no point in him going to HBCU. I'm sorry, I'm just being real. Like if you're playing football, you are not going to get the same eyes on you that you would have going to a PWI D1 school. But if he plays basketball and the way basketball is, it's a little bit different. If you play basketball and you're the number one recruit in the country, you're going to the league anyway. You can go to HBCU because it don't matter. But I think it's like, that's the only thing. If my son is depending on what sport he wants to play, that is something I'll have to have. Well, do you want to go to the league? You might got to think about some things.
I almost called you Christian. I'm so disappointed in you.
And when it comes to sports, I'm being honest. When it comes to sports,
shout out to my son. Anywho, brother.
When it comes to sports, bro, I can't. Everything else I agree with you on. When it comes to sports, though,
there are 32 starting quarterbacks in the NFL. I want you to 32 of them, right?
Okay.
There's 7 billion people in the world. You are willing to.
I said if he wants to play sports,
and
his goal go to the league.
So this is
I'm about particularly football. Though.
So this might not be what you said, but this is what I heard.
Okay.
32 quarterbacks in the NFL. There's 7 billion people in the world. You are willing to risk them being a part of a educational experience where they are truly a part of it and really truly stakeholders in what they do and what they learn and who they associate with, so that they can throw an oblong-shaped pigskin around.
Let me ask you a question. When he graduates from that school, whatever it may be, I'm saying sports, he wants to play football. Mm-hmm. He goes to that PWI. Mm-hmm. Let's say he don't make the league. Mm-hmm. He gets him a degree. That degree had just as much Daddies. He went to HBCU. But if his goal, he says, Dad, I care about football. I want this to be my life. Now I'm like, son, it's probably better for you to go to a PWI D1 school. That's just honest. If there was an HBCU that was a D1 school, that, for example, let me give you a perfect example. At my school, there were scouts that came. Literally, there was. I remember there was a Viking. I remember when Teddy was playing football, there was a Viking scout at practice. So to me, you're getting you have those resources because we're on TV, we're being seen. Hell, I got to play. We went to the Sugar Bowl in New Orleans. We was on national TV. That's more exposure that my son would get. Where HBCU, you don't get those same opportunities. It's the ugly truth. I'm talking about sports, not education. But we just talking about sports. If my son says, Dad, I want to make it to the NFL. Or heck, if he's like, Dad, I want to play basketball, get in the NBA. If he's not a top recruit, I'm not putting my son in PWI, man. If it's a D1 school, I'm not to do it. Because if he says, I want to get to the league, Dad, it is my job to help him get there. And I'm just being real. I feel like it's just for sports. I keep saying sports. I want to make sure you understand.
But is that the only advantage that you get from going to a PWI? Is that literally the only advantage that I get as a black body at a PWI? Is that literally the calling card? Is that the big joke of a PWI?
In my personal opinion, this is just me personal opinion. Yes. I'm being real. Yes, to be honest, other than that, I don't really see a difference in going to it.
I came here to fight and tell you how much better HBCU is.
And I told you,
and you literally would not give it to me. You would not give me that. I literally, and I know.
Can I have those?
This is hyperbole, and this shit don't matter.
Yeah.
We just need black body with degrees.
Yeah, I mean, we need black body degrees. But I will admit, like I said, that's why I said you start. I can't give you a fight because if you going to PWI, I could definitely see talking to especially graduating school, talking to people, especially at Mark Source, talking to people who went to PWIs, talking to people who went to HBCUs, and the differences they had. I'll be real. I feel like people who go to HBCUs have a different pride about their education than PWIs. Like I feel like if you went to HBCU, you have more of a pride to your degree than somebody who went to PWIs a lot of times. And I'm talking about the Harvards or, the Yales or like the big schools like that. I'm talking about the regular smuggler, everyday person goes to a school compared, I feel like the PWI HBCU experience, I feel like you get more pride from an HBCU degree. I can't give you that fight. I just can't. I appreciate Louisville, got my degree. It gave me a great experience. Like I said, I would never say I regret getting my degree from University of Louisville. But for me to be able to say, ooh, my PWI experience was so much better than you went to HBCU, I have more resources, yeah. But outside of that, I think it would have been cool to be able to walk on my campus and see more people that look like me. Man. Like, it would have been cool to, I go into a class, I go into a, for example, I don't think I ever have seen a black math teacher at U of L. It might have changed, but I never saw one. It'd be cool to go to see a black.
And that's so crazy, man, because on my campus I have Professor Gwendolyn Jordan, who's one of the first black female staffers to work on the St. Murray, who was one of the first black city planners, and the first black city planner for San Diego, and I want to say San Antonio, Texas. Like I had.
I'm in the vice president. Vice president of the United States. Now, I mean,
I had DJ Kool Herc, who taught hip hop and politics on my campus. Who was one of the originators.
See, you wouldn't even catch no class like that on my campus.
So who's one of the originators of hip hop? And I know we associate HBCUs with Greek life and partying and all that, but the quality. I can really attest to the quality of instruction that we received there, man. It was so real. Like, one of my professors, Professor Brooks, was the head of a black policing union for, I want to say, Chicago at one point in time. And he helped me really understand the roots of policing and gave me a perspective of what I can take outside of the educational, outside of the classroom, how to make it fit with the real world. Like, I really feel it. I really, really remember these people, and I keep in touch with them the best way that I can. Like it's a lot. It was the experience that I got at HBCUs is I can sit and I don't know if you can do this, and it's not a knock on Louisville, but I can rattle off professors and what they've done and how they impacted me in my life. And I can rattle off some of the people that I've met, that are now movers and shakers. Like, I got homeboys that have started their own Forex and multi-dimensional financial companies that are moving all across the country, and they're doing super well for themselves. And I got other, associates and homeboys that I know that are opening up clubs and all across the city of Atlanta. And I got, and I know people I got frat brothers who work in companies.
And see, I feel like
Scientific and all this stuff. I'm like,
that legit stems from on your campus. You had a bigger community.
Yeah.
You had literally, for me, I have friends who have done the same things. I have frat brothers too.
Yeah.
But it feels different because that next level that you have of pride is because you were surrounded by people who look like you. So I feel like y'all push each other differently. I think at my PWI, I think the black people push each other too.
I mean, y'all
but
should.
We did, but the pride is different. Where like you like I said, you went to class, you saw somebody in a position of, I'm not trying to say a professor position of power, but you saw somebody in a position of, I'm educating you, I'm passing knowledge to you, and I look like you. I didn't really get that unless I had, Pan American Studies class, or I had African American music class, or either way. If the class didn't have African American in it somewhere, 8 times out of 10 she was black.
But my thing is, with it being so many white people on the campus, regardless, I don't know the white people who are going to show up for English 1102. Are they showing up for Pan African Studies 1101?
Fuck no.
That is so retarded.
That's the only class for them. Like,
they're not interested in what you learn or about English.
But honestly, bro, those classes, they're maybe one, two. If a class of maybe 40, sometimes you have a big auditorium. So if a class of 40 kids in a Pan African Studies class, maybe 3 white kids.
Who are
and they're probably only doing it because they actually probably somebody who generally wants to learn, or it's just a prereq and they thought it was going to be easy. That's real. I mean, I'm sitting here thinking about, I remember my first Pan African Studies class, my freshman year. Ooh, I'll never forget old girls in class, the wagon. That's the story for the day. I'll never forget that. But that's why I tried.
She was dragging the wagon?
Bruh, side note, bruh, did you have like them desks that were connected?
Yeah.
Bruh, she had to get a desk like this. Like, what? No, her just sitting down at the desk like a normal person. She would have to slide to get at the desk. Mind you, I'm a college freshman. I'm like, and my homeboy sitting there because I'm like, bro, did you see that? That's another episode. That's another episode. We got to talk about college experience. It's fun. But like, I feel like, for example, in that class, I'm seeing that was my first. I had pride, and I'm like, Pan African Studies class. And I also made me realize we didn't learn shit in school about black folks. In high school, we didn't learn shit in high school, in middle school about black folks. That's one thing I did learn in that class. That's the first thing I learned. But for me, it was just like, wasn't no white kids in that class. I think maybe one white girl in that class, and I don't even think she came to class like that. I think I maybe saw her the first 3 days and then see her afterwards.
She dropped that shit?
I don't know if she dropped that shit or she just, I don't remember. I remember seeing her there.
Alright.
But it's just for real. Like, it's for real. But, like, for me, like I said, overall, I'll close it out. I'll close my part out with this. Mm-hmm. But for my opinion, I personally don't think, in terms of the degree, in terms of that piece of paper that you get, mm-hmm. I don't think there's a difference with that. Mm-hmm. But I do think there is a difference in terms of the pride that you feel when you leave that school. Mm-hmm. And I do think there is a difference of the value that was on that education. And what I mean by that is you saw other people that looked like you consistently achieving, right? Like, I feel like at a PWI, I feel like you kind of got to look for that. I mean, naturally, people click up with people who have similarities in them. So I did see a lot of successful black people, but I did feel like I had to look for them. Well, I feel like at HBCU, I don't feel like you ain't got to look that hard.
I feel like part of it was the expectation.
And that's got to feel good.
It feels wonderful. And I think what ended up happening, if you go to a Louisville, if you go to a Florida State, if you go to a UGA, if you go to a Stanford, if you go to one of those PWIs that, you know, those bigger, well-known PWIs, when you show up as a black face, it's almost as if, okay, you're here.
You're welcome.
Now, the expectation is you're here because you deserve to be here, and, you know, your achievement is kind of an expectation.
Oh, that's another thing. Don't let no student think, oh, you must not have to pay for the stuff that I get because you're black and you got in here. It's like, damn, maybe my GPA was better than yours coming up.
Maybe
it was. I got a scholarship, but maybe my shit better than yours. So now I can say with that too.
Right.
That's
so,
another thing.
Where HBCUs, like, a lot of us came in that motherfucker, we were like, yeah, we're going to try the thing out, you know, and if we succeed, you know, but then for those individuals who come like that, and, you know, it's a Savannah State, you consider a second chance institution. Like, when you come and you go through that maturation process and you earn your degree, we're going to celebrate the shit out of it, you know, because it's a strong possibility that nobody else was willing to A, take their chance on you, or two, like, make the accommodations that you need to be successful, and three, they probably weren't going to celebrate you. As what I'm hearing. Yeah. Like, so my thing with,
you feel like Savannah State celebrated y'all.
They celebrated.
Were you a bell?
It wasn't
celebrated.
It wasn't. You know, for me, I came in looking for a little bit of acceptance because I was always oddball. I was always interested in shit that niggas in my hood weren't interested in. You feel me? So when I went there, I started to attach myself to individuals and attach myself to things that thought the way I thought, or had a thought process similar to my process. You know, I went there and I developed things, and I feel like a better person and a more knowledgeable person. And that shit was celebrated. You feel me? Like, it wasn't tolerated. I didn't need nobody to you know, for lack of better words, I didn't need anybody, you know, to check off on me and be like, yes, he got it. He's worthy. Like, no, I came and I developed in my circle and my administrators and everybody made sure that we knew that you were celebrated. Like, we want you to come here and grow. We want to aid you in the process of matriculation. Like, I'll save that tidbit for another episode. So I'm gonna give you something a little funny, but I keep pushing. Like, I'm coming from a place where, like, you are the reason why I'm here. Like, I literally felt like that when I would talk to my school president, or my school chief financial officer, or my school's admissions officers. You know, and like, we want you here. Like, you are a part of the reason why we're here. Like, I never felt like
So you got that feeling in every class.
It wasn't in every class. It wasn't in every class. Because some folks just want to show up and get paid and go home. Yeah. So that wasn't every professor. But it wasn't hard to find.
See, that was a U of L, like, it was hard to find.
So
this basically came into a hyping up HBCU video, but I ain't gonna problem with that. Hype up our institutions. But like I said, we can wrap it up with this. Honestly, for me, it's like, personally, I know you might want to battle. I ain't really had too much to give you.
I wish you would have. I wish you would have.
I did. But I would say this: my experience it wasn't bad. I get you a good
Yeah.
credit. I feel like you did try to make us feel included into things.
Right.
I do feel like Louisville U of L did give an effort to that. But at the end of the day, I'll be honest and also say that the fact that they had to try
Right.
is a little bit different.
And in closing, write this thing on up. At the end of the day, you are an educated black man. Can't nobody take that shit away from you.
Got a degree. Got a degree. Yes, I do. And he got a degree too. My man. Next time, man. We'll catch y'all next time. But overall, man, if you want to achieve, I'm not gonna say a degree is the key to achieving anything.
Absolutely not.
Depending on what you want to do in life, you don't need that piece of paper. It's really just a fucking piece of paper. But in the day, go to school. If you want to go to school, go get your education. PWI, HBCU, we broke down a few things about it. You know, there's a pride that you get from HBCU, but I feel like hearing it from you. In a PWI, there are a little bit more resources that you do have access to. That's on the truth, but overall, best choice for you.
Take a kid to a college. Let them see.
Let them see both. Let them see both.
All right, we out, y'all.
Peace.
Because really what you said ultimately was, what does relinquish mean to you? So, like, what does that even mean to you in the first place? And what you want to convey in our show?
So, like, relinquish, when I hear that and I think about what you guys have created and what it is to me. So a lot of times when we hear the term or we feel the analogy of like somebody being shackled or held down to whatever circumstance that is holding them down, we think about the cuffs actually being an exterior force that's right around your wrist. Sometimes you are holding on to those things.
Yeah.
And then when you relinquish it, let it go, you're free, right? So,
Yeah.
but that is a process within itself.
You create your own freedom, ultimately.
You creating your own freedom. The freedom is there. You feel me? Like there's always going to be outside forces that influence you to behave as if you were trapped. That ain't necessarily it. You know what I mean? So when I hear relinquish, you're letting go of things that are holding you down from being free. Like literally Erykah Badu bagging with you. Like let the bags go so you can fly. So that's what I hear when I hear relinquish.
That's real, bro. I mean, that's ultimately what relinquish what we try to convey. I mean, ultimately, we're trying to let people know, like, your freedom is really your own. The freedom is there for you to obtain. The freedom is there for you to get it, but you have to let go so you can be free and fly away. Absolutely. I mean, really, just what you said, man.
Absolutely. So even when I think about what it is that we are in the journey of where we're trying to create, and this is a show, and it's so many. Let's not get beside ourselves and say that we're groundbreaking and we're doing something new. It's men talking about issues from a man's perspective. At the end of the day, that's what it is, right? Yeah. But what I want people to know is that what I hope is different, or what we're even. I hope this isn't different, but I hope what is the message, what you get from us is, while what we're saying isn't fact, and it may not be fact.
No, it's not fact.
Yeah, it can be based on facts, but it ain't fact.
We're not getting the bullshit.
And it isn't the truth. Right? This is our truth. This is what we feel to be true. This is what we think is, what is relevant. This is our moral scope. Mm-hmm. At the end of the day, you have to trust your own truth. You have to believe, you have to find what it is that you believe. And you have to live by that code. And hopefully that coincides with everybody else. And you just doing your part to make this world a better place.
See, this is why you were one of the first people to take pictures of. You explained it perfectly. But no, I mean, bro. I mean, I definitely do feel you in that. Like, ultimately, what we want people to get from relinquish is really what you think it is. I mean, honestly, ultimately, it's about being free. Right. So, whatever your idea of being free is, that's what it's gonna be. So
you gotta understand that relinquish is as far as what you guys built. Like you have to go straight to the source for that. But use relinquish as a term, as a word, as a lifestyle. That ultimately, I'm telling you to use that to set you free.
Right.
That's it.
That's all we need.